Okay, I'll call the meeting to order, Judicial Committee, on this fine day. First, the approval of the minutes. The minutes you have.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any questions, discussions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment concerning anything? Seeing that, we'll continue. The first thing on the agenda are the two classification titles of Director and Deputy Director of the Judicial Commission Office. And it's my understanding other offices have different names for these, such as Chief, Commissioner, Deputy Chief. You gonna come up to the table, Carol?
Well, I was just gonna explain the packet that I gave out.
Okay,
So the first one is the original job description that you all voted the changes for.
which one?
The very first one that I gave you, Director, Judicial Commissioner. That's the one that has the changes that you all voted for. The second one with the red is the suggestions from Beth, from our case study, from that one that I sent her. And then the third one is if we were to adopt all of those changes, what it would look like. If that one just looks a lot, it's a lot easier to read, but I wanted to give you the one with the red so you could see exactly the
And that
changes.
is, you're saying Chief Judicial Commissioner versus
Yes.
Director, right?
Yes,
Really?
because sometimes the title director gives the false sense of supervising director. And from what I gathered, this position is not necessarily a supervising director position. And if I have that wrong, please let me know.
Well, I've thought about this a lot, and I'm thinking every office we have has someone that answers to say, for example, if the judge is called that office, who do they call to? They don't call to the most junior judicial commissioner, even though that person may or may not issue a warrant. They'll want to know, the person that does the scheduling, someone that even conducts part of the training, or make sure the training is complete. And who would they call? Would they call the Chief Judicial Commissioner still?
Yes,
So the name is Chief, but they do what the director did? Is that true?
well, I guess I'm looking for guidance from you all because I thought that one of your concerns was that this position is not to be a supervising position as far as supervising the work and the direction.
Well,
of
they
it.
don't supervise concerning the issue of a warrant or order of protection. That person is independent to do that. However, they're responsible if nobody's in the office. If somebody doesn't show up for work, they're responsible. That's what I'm saying. Somebody's got to be responsible to make sure somebody is there.
Right, but that's not directing the work.
Not
And
directing their.
maybe
Right.
Beth could be better to speak
Yeah.
Maybe
to
they-
that.
That's I was just about to
Okay.
ask and see if you could kind
Okay.
of clarify what you're seeing in other counties and how other counties are.
I have
might be
one for
helpful.
you.
Oh, that would be great.
Yes, you have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, if you would said. Oh, it's good. Yeah, yeah. No, I'd love to know kind of how other counties are setting this up.
Well, what I've seen in the discussions I've had with some other counties
Yeah.
and how, pardon me, and how they're doing this, it's kind of what you're saying, is that person, the chief, is there, they're not, they don't have hiring, firing authority necessarily, but they do exactly what you're talking about. If someone doesn't show up to work, they're making sure that they either act as the replacement or are the replacement to
Or
make
they-
sure that there
or
is
they
someone.
coordinate a replacement.
Or they coordinate a replacement. They coordinate the schedules. They may approve timesheets. They do those sorts of administrative tasks to make
What about the
sure.
required training for the commission?
Right,
Do they
They-
coordinate that as well,
right.
correct?
yes, sir,
So
they
they're
could do that kind of
basically
thing. They
In
are,
charge of that area,
right, that would be what the chief would do.
right?
And if you choose to have an assistant chief, then that person would help them with those tasks. But they're not a supervisor in the same way a supervisor in another department is, because they're not,
From a
Going
TCA
on-
perspective, they can't be.
exactly. So they're not going
They're not
to,
overriding somebody's warrant or. whatever.
exactly. The only person that should be able to do that would be an actual judge that comes in and says, you shouldn't have done it that way.
Right,
But the chief or the assistant chief is supervising in only the capacity of making sure that someone is there to do the work,
Right.
making sure the schedules are there, coordinating those efforts
Mhm.
and that sort of thing, but not actually critiquing,
Right.
you shouldn't have done it this way, or no, we can't, or we're wrong, that kind of thing. So exactly what you're talking about,
Okay, so,
that's what that chief person does.
okay, so
Okay.
if I'm a judge and I call over there and I got this warrant, I go, what is this? Now, who should I call if I'm the judge? Do I call the chief? Even though the chief didn't do the warrant, should I call the chief and say, what's going on? here?"
Well, the chief may or may, I mean, that's kind of your
Because that's
setup.
what's happening now, I believe. Is that not true? That's true, that's what's happening now.
Well, the chief may or may not know about that specific warrant, but I would imagine that the chief would be able to round up the right person to be able to discuss it with you.
Is
Right.
that what you do? I don't know.
Sure, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
whoever issues a warrant or didn't issue a warrant, you'll go to them and say, give me the background,
Yeah, just tell me why.
tell me
Yeah,
why.
let-
and
Just
then-
tell me why. I can't do anything about the why.
Well,
But just
exactly,
explain to me why, because usually when a warrant's denied, an officer or supervisor calls me and they're like, it was denied and we think, this or this or this, and I'm like, well, let me call and talk to that commissioner and see what their side is.
yeah,
And then I'll call the officer or the supervisor back and be like, this is what they said according to the law, according to the statute. This is their take on it.
okay. I
I
mean.
can't change, and they know I can't change
I know you
anything,
can't
but
change it, but you're the one, you are the point of contact.
absolutely.
Okay.
I think that that's
Is that still
probably,
what it is?
yeah, I would think that this would be
That'd be
how
good
this
for that.
the chief would do it, yeah. That
Okay.
would be, and that's how I believe the other counties handle that,
Okay,
is that they would have that same single point of contact. And then if you had to dig really deep, then of course you could go to I would think, I'm not an expert on how nitty gritty details
Yeah.
all work, but I would think that you would be able to, if you really had to get into deep with it, you could obviously pull that individual
Right.
commissioner up, but I would think that it makes a lot of sense to have a single person you can go to that can then do the legwork of rounding up
Mhm.
those other people. But yes,
Do other counties have an assistant chief as well?
some do
Or-
and some don't.
Okay. What do
The
you see primarily?
well, sometimes what happens is most of the judicial commissioners might be part-time, and so
Okay.
the chief and assistant chief would be the only full-time people, and so that's why you've got
Okay.
those two. So that's one of the main examples that I have, is like the chief and the assistant chief are your two full-time people, so they have the bases covered most of the time. But then you have the part-time people handling I don't know exactly how they handle all the scheduling.
Right. Okay.
But I know a couple of people that I talked to, well, these two are our only full-time people, and then they handle all the
So
scheduling of
those
all
are
the part-time.
smaller counties, then, correct?
Yes.
Smaller counties.
Sometimes,
Now,
yes.
Another question is the pay. Does it matter if you call them the chief or director? Does the pay change?
Well, the pay changed in this instance because the director, the way it was set up, that director was a much higher level position. The requirement behind it was a JD. And that understanding, the way we had been given that a couple of years ago when we first did the pay study, was that was a much higher level position, and the assistant director was a much higher level position. So after my understanding with my discussion with Kiana, I went back and repriced those jobs based on a completely different understanding. And so yes, but it's based on the job description, not just on the title. When
Well, I
we-
understand.
Yeah, when we look at jobs, the title, you could still call it a director if you wanted. My recommendation is not, because the title of director gives a connotation to an individual that they have a level of authority and responsibility that is not really what this is saying they do.
Right.
But that
So, yeah,
So
so this
the
is
level
more-
of pay that I've recommended based on the chief description is lower than the current director and assistant director.
and this,
Last time with getting a director, that's why Betsy Jakowski turned it down,
Yeah,
well,
just to pay.
the pay's
Is this-
an issue.
Yeah.
It's always an issue.
is
And
this,
the reason the only reason I'm saying that is if we have an assistant or we have a chief and we're paying them less than they make now, that's a big problem.
is this more in line with other counties though?
In
Like
some
the
of,
job description itself?
right,
And the way it's set up?
other than counties that are requiring a JD,
Right,
yes. But this particular, the way this is set up is not requiring a JD.
right, okay, and I think
We
that's
we
actually
didn't require a JD
statutorily.
last
No,
time.
we didn't.
It was a bachelor's, we just happened to hire somebody with a JD.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think statutorily, there are counties because of their population size that
That
have to have JDs.
Right.
Whereas, so that's why I'm asking is to.
Well, they have to be
Right,
practicing attorneys, not
Right,
just
well-
a JD.
okay, yes,
Right.
yes, they have to be attorneys, so at that point,
Well, that was
but for
kind
us.
of our assumption with the JD, was that you
Yeah,
had to be a
Practice
member of the
attorney.
bar and all that.
But there's a difference, so you can have a
Yes, sir.
JD and not be a member of the bar.
Well, that's true. I
You
used
can
to
have a
work for
degree
someone that
and
had
never-
the JD.
Yeah,
That's the
never,
point.
never pass. You're
We
right.
definitely should not be considering dropping the pay.
I agree with you. I think the pay is, the reason we have better people now than we've had is because of the pay. I remember here several years ago, they were making like $20 an hour, and we tried to give them 23, and nobody wanted to give them a raise. And now they're making reasonably good, so they can live in the county. They have to live in the county. If they
Let
can't
me-
afford to live in the county, it's a problem.
Okay, let me ask a different kind of question. Okay, so in before, when we had with the director, judicial commissioner, can you tell me what grade that job was?
So,
Um,
12. 12 or 13.
I will in a moment.
Still have Betsy Jakowski, so
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what
we would be going through this right now.
Yeah, well, let's see,
we
let's see
had
where we are.
originally
Hold on, let me,
talked about
let me ask about grades.
administrator.
So if we change it back to director and assistant director, would the pay go up?
Well, hold on, let's understand what
Okay.
what we're talking about from a change. So if we're talking about like if it's a grade, you know, like if this is a grade, or it was a grade 12 and we were talking about a grade 11, you may not really be talking about as much as we think we're talking about. So let's get that detail. I
Well,
think that's important.
I don't care if it's a penny.
I agree.
I don't think we need to
Yeah.
reduce pay.
Now, I don't think you need to reduce pay of the people we already have working, in the director and the assistant director.
I mean,
think
this
Of course.
is a job that determines whether people go to jail or not.
Exactly.
It's a job that determines if people
Lose their-
possibly,
Right.
lose their freedom.
Exactly, lose their.
Get a order of protection.
Yeah,
Right. I
And that
agree.
is a job that should
If
consider
somebody
higher
else
pay.
can't see their kids or be at
Yeah.
home or.
yep, you're right. Yeah. See, I don't care what the description says. I mean, I'm okay with whatever it says, but I think the pay is important.
But that's how they classify the pay is based on the job description. That's how the whole system works. So
Okay, so
that's what I'm
maybe we
saying.
should
is-
change it a little bit to make it so.
Well,
that-
let's find out what we're talking about
Adjust.
first. Let's get some more information before we start talking about changing things.
Okay, so currently. I have, the director is in pay grade 13,
Okay.
and the deputy director is in pay grade 12.
Sure.
That's correct.
Okay. So how does this wash out with the chief and assistant chief?
Well, and let me add in there that the judicial commissioners themselves are in pay grade 8.
Okay.
So,
They wouldn't change, would they?
no,
No,
they would not.
that's a big difference between
Yes,
the
it
people
is.
who work in the job and then the people who actually just, because, you know, again, they're doing exactly the same thing except for the administrative duties, right?
Yes.
Well,
Think about
well, shoot, you might say
So
that.
if our
but That's not
JCs
really
already-
true, because if you're the chief or you're the director, whatever you call it, you're gonna have more expertise.
Yes,
As
but
more expertise, you're valued more, because if a director, if a
5
judicial,
grades though?
if a judicial commissioner comes to you and has a question about the law, they're not asking you to make decisions, but they're asking you about the law.
But that's still,
And that's why even a lawyer, a practicing attorney, is not bad to have. Because before, we had no law books in that office that were current, none.
I
And now we
understand
do.
that, but we're talking about a 5 grade difference.
I know
At the
you're
end of the
talking about
day,
that,
you've
but
got-
if you're gonna
they're
reduce
all
pay on
JCs.
somebody,
I'm not trying to reduce pay,
that's a big deal.
we're talking about grades here.
Okay.
Just hold on.
Well, and actually, this doesn't have it as a JD. This just has it as a bachelor's for the
Right.
director.
And that's why it was before.
But there was, when we did the first pay study, and this was 21, 22, in 2021 and 2, when we met with Lisa. Having to remember names, so
Yeah,
this is
she
my,
was
this is
a-
my memory over here. When we met with her, and I was, it was Steve Thompson and myself that met with her. And she made quite a few arguments about, in particular, her job and then the deputy director job, about the art and the reason it was that many pay grades. First of all, she did argue that the judicial commissioners should be paid more. And so we did raise that grade. It was a lower grade to start with, but we did raise that grade. But then she made arguments about the requirements for the director and the deputy director. And so those grades got raised significantly. Initially, our very first recommendation would have been that the deputy director would have been one pay grade above a judicial commissioner, and the director would have been one pay grade above that. So it would have been 8, 9, and 10.
Correct.
And this whole conversation may be for naught because we're getting ready to go into talk about all of this, and
Right.
if everything changes, then pretty much people aren't gonna make any less
Right.
anyway.
Well, that's why I'm trying to center around grades. That's why I'm not talking about dollars. I'm talking about grades.
And I don't know if this committee is the one to even discuss the pay versus see what we got, and then we can make suggestions. I don't think we're gonna solve the issue tonight.
And I
No,
can
I
understand that.
think we
It's
just do the job description,
but
I
the
think-
job description is what determines what pay grade it is.
and I agree, that's what I said, let's do the job description.
Yeah.
Make the job description fit the pay grade you want it to.
Well,
But that's not how every other job is in the county, I don't think. I think Kiana's got something.
So I think, like what Beth was saying, so the purpose of the department head meetings when we're doing the pay study time is for the pay study firm that knows nothing about the real setup of the office, is to get information from that department head elected official on how that office actually runs. So what Beth is saying is those job salary grades are high because at that time Lisa explained the setup of the job with having that supervising authority.
Yes.
You all, if I understand this correctly, has stated that those positions do not have that supervising authority. So that changes the job description, which changes the salary grade. So I think you all, as a committee, should decide what the supervisory duties of the position are, because that is what really directs everything else.
I mean, some of the things that we have said are supervisor duties.
Exactly.
As far as setting the weekly schedules and things like that is a supervisor duty, the budgets and
And
all
not only
that.
that, but
Covering
should the
shifts, somebody
HR
didn't show
manuals
up.
complied with?
Well, it's the difference though is when we're talking about the supervisory duties that we're
You're talking about hiring and firing people.
talking about hiring and firing. Are they doing performance evaluations?
They are part of the hiring process.
Directing
They
work.
are doing the
But are they
performance
making
evaluations.
are they doing the performance evaluations, or is it the judge doing the performance evaluations?
They are.
Well, per TCA, the
The
judges are
judge-
the only ones that we can actually consult about performance. It's
ju-
in the law.
Well, the judges, whenever we reappoint or we appoint, they're asked to put an input in for that.
Because that's
They
what
don't-
TCS says.
They don't write anything out. I've asked them for years for inputs. Very seldom do they give inputs.
They are doing part of the hiring.
But they have opportunity to do that. Plus, in the office itself, the person that's in charge, so to speak, the chief or whatever they'll call them, they're not allowed to fire the person because the person is elected. They're elected for 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. So nobody's allowed to fire them unless they have misconduct that reaches a certain point, then they will be referred to the Board of Judicial Conduct, or they can, if they break the law, of course, we can arrest them and stuff like that. And so nobody's gonna fire them, but as far as supervising them, it's important because the supervisory role is that you will show up on time. If you have questions about it, you're not supposed to go outside the office to ask questions, whether you're gonna issue a warrant. You can't go to the DA, you can go to the judge maybe, but the judges typically don't wanna get involved in that, okay? Unless it's a very unusual situation. So you have to consult the more senior people, which is the chief or the deputy chief, for expertise. They don't make the decision, but they give you expertise. They show the law, they can do this and that. And that's what we expect the director or the chief to do. So it's a supervisory role more than, especially if you get a brand new person in there that has just been trained, and John and Stacy train them. And even if they work with John over there and they have a question, they'll ask him, or they'll ask Stacy. It's not that they're asking.
So the director's got to train too?
Yeah, director's got to train as well. So, and
And I get all this, but I guess my big question is, the big issue that we had was overreach. Can we agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so with that in mind, how do you have somebody who supervises when legally doing the job, a judicial commissioner has to be neutral, independent, detached? So that's the struggle here.
I've said this before, and
Yeah.
the supervisor can't supervise as to the substantive part of their job, writing the warrant. They absolutely can supervise the procedural part of the job.
exactly.
Okay.
Not showing up for work,
What to wear.
enforcing the county handbook, right? They can absolutely have a right to do
They
that.
sure do.
Right, but
Just-
that's what this job description for chief says, right?
So it does.
Because I think that's what we were trying to do with the director job that we set up when we went through the whole job description, was trying to actually set it up so it
So
took
we
that
didn't
into
have
account.
the overreach,
We
we
used to-
still had the
Exactly.
supervision role.
Exactly,
We
and I
used to
thought
have
we'd done a
I
good
thought we
job.
did a good, very job.
I thought we did too, but now we walk in and it's different. So that's the question as to how do we make sure that that occurs? And then how do we make sure that that job description then fits into a grade?
It's a significant.
Okay, so there's a
role.
little of. So basically, the the one that I edited, this one with the red line and the after,
Yep.
I took where it's redlined out in the front, that's just moved to the back only, and all of that's verbatim, except for the supervising language.
Okay.
Because my understanding was the judicial commissioner part, all those duties needed to be first and foremost. So I thought that this stuff needed to be put second, and that's the only thing I did with those, I didn't take them out.
Okay.
But probably what needs to be done in this particular version would be adding back that, because I took out anything that referenced supervising. Because I didn't quite understand what you all had just mentioned. I took from what Kiana said, that there could be nothing to do with supervising. And
Okay.
so a little bit of editing I can
You
We
also
need to put
I can
that
take this
in
back.
Well, you
because-
changed the requirements completely. You put high school diploma and 3 to 5 years, and that is not acceptable.
No,
Well, that's also because of my understanding of
We had
needed
just,
to just be
we
a
had just
judicial
changed that.
commissioner and just back.
No,
So,
it needs to be exactly what we put in there.
yeah,
A bachelor's degree and/or 10 plus years of law enforcement experience.
well, didn't we
That's
have
what
it
we
in
want.
the office?
And I know that that's
Related
specifically.
experience.
Right, well, I'm sorry, yes, excuse me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't have it in front of me. But no, because I know this specifically actually really changes the grade,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I
Because
asked her
that's been
that.
my
That was-
experience in
Remember, I asked you,
other
I said,
situations.
no, that's not the minimum requirements they wanted, and would that change the salary? And
it's kind of because we were talking about 10 years is a lot to
There's
compare
a
to a
reason why
bachelor.
it's
Well,
10.
yeah, that's where the
There's a
experience
reason.
comes from, to make you a supervisor.
Yes. There were reasons behind those numbers.
Yeah,
But the big difference, so are you wanting pretty much the same thing that you had before
The
as the
requirement.
director?
We want to make sure that the person
yeah,
is,
we want
well,
the same
bachelor's degree
requirements.
and/or,
Well, I mean, but the job. Is the job being reduced?
the job is what
The job is the same
it's
job.
what we put together as a
Yeah,
job description. I mean, we already did all this.
Really, the only thing.
No, I meant from the previous job.
No, it's different, and we redid everything, and you should have an updated copy. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what
that's
the
the
minutes
first.
were that we just
I have the
approved.
first one. Yeah, I have that
Yeah,
first
This one
one.
here is what we approved.
It's
Okay.
it's a bit of a not quite understanding. So the one that I had made suggestions on can be ignored. It's fine.
Okay,
It was just
Okay.
from an understanding point of it can't be this, that, or the other.
Yeah, well, this is
So sometimes
exactly.
it-
yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Hold on. Okay, so you're saying director, this one right here in my hand is supposed to be what we did?
Yeah, it is what you did. Yeah.
Okay,
The top
it's-
one is what you did.
No, that's different.
No, that's the very first one, the only one that says Director Judicial Commissioner is the one you all voted.
Yeah, we did
That I
that.
sent around to
Yeah, we
everybody,
did that.
and everybody approved it.
Yeah. So, and
'Cause
then
I
the
thought
deputy, did you change that?
And it has the supervising.
Okay,
No, because we had it set up where it was supposed to have titles, so it was supposed to have judicial commissioner duties. Remember, we talked about all this. And it was supposed to, and then it was
Yeah,
supposed to
it's on there.
administrate. Am I looking at the wrong, do I have the wrong
It's
document
on
then?
page 2. You'll say judicial commissioner duties and then supervisor duties.
Okay, what I have in my hand does not say that.
Oh.
And I guess maybe I've got a different copy?
Yes,
I don't know.
You're looking at the original.
the.
Yeah, because that's what I was given.
Didn't give page.
I don't have any, yeah,
That's in your hand.
thank you. Okay, yeah,
Turn to page 2, I can make sure.
So.
I don't have
I
page
think
two.
the
Some of
copier, yeah.
Some
No, I
copies
don't
are
have
page
that.
page 2.
Yeah,
don't
let
have
me
page
see.
two. Original.
The copier
What
did
you-
not
Yeah,
have
page two.
page
I think-
I don't have
No.
page two.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, that's page three.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
The
page,
page two.
I have
The
a page 2.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
copy.
yeah. page
Copier
two, I
must
said,
have
what-
been page 2.
Yeah,
None of our
because we
copies
don't
have
have,
page 2.
yeah,
Page 3.
yeah,
But I thought my electronic copy has page 2.
okay, yeah, because that's where I got really confused, because I know we
There's page
talked,
2.
Yeah, because we talked specifically about making sure that we had titles and we had judicial commissioner duties up front, and then we were supposed to have administrative duties second.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be in the minutes.
Yeah, it's there.
I know.
It's there.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but she just left off page 2.
It just got, probably, sometimes when you run through a copy machine,
Yeah.
they
Right.
just stick together, and that's
Yeah.
probably what
Yeah,
happened.
no, I know.
Okay, so,
You getting all this?
Yeah.
done?
Got it. Sorry.
Cameras are too.
Oh, man. Okay.
Oh, we're on camera, I love that. That's great.
Yes. So, okay.
okay, so the bottom line is we're going to go back to what we did,
Okay,
okay? And we can change, we can
I'm-
leave it director as far as I'm concerned. It's the same thing.
Don't need to change.
What do you think, Jeremy?
I like director.
I do too. I like director.
I'm good.
That
either
way
or,
the
so
judges
whatever
know
it is.
exactly where to go to if they have a question. They'll come right to you, and they do that, correct?
Sorry.
And that's what we need. We need a good point of contact in that office, if anybody has noticed. So I'm recommending we do that job description.
I wanna just see what page 2 is.
Okay,
I do too.
okay, once it gets there.
Yeah.
Now, where on this scale are you saying we should bring that in? What level? What number?
That's actually gonna change.
Right.
Right.
let's see,
It gives us a benchmark.
let me compare that.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, here's page 2.
Okay.
Thank you.
Page.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and I didn't print a note.
Okay, thanks.
Do you have the page? You don't
I have it.
I have it on right here.
Oh, okay,
You
okay.
do?
Well,
I have a page 2 on mine.
Okay,
So
so,
it didn't pick it up?
Okay.
so judicial commission duties, and the first one is essential functions. Okay? And basically, the deputy is the same except they assist, correct?
I mean, I'll say this on this revised one.
Yeah,
I like the fact that we have judicial commissioner duties first and then the supervisory, or she's got it listed as administrative. I mean, the only change I'd say is change it back to supervisory.
well, the
And
only
put
reason,
back in that supervisor.
I would normally agree with it, except as a director,
Here, right?
there are essential functions, and judicial commission does that too.
Right.
But I think
Well, I mean, those are
Three
still listed under.
that.
they're still listed,
Yeah,
but, well, it probably doesn't matter as long as they're all there.
they're in there as far as
Yeah,
organizing
I understand what you're saying.
from a logical standpoint, just for me.
So, under supervisory duties, the 3 things at the bottom need to be moved above supervisory duties,
Which ones are
because
those?
that's part of judicial commissioner duties. Sets bonds, amounts by questionnaire, conducts research as needed,
Yeah.
stay current on law updates, so that needs to be moved up.
Yeah.
Which that was moved up in the revised one.
It was? Okay,
Well, I mean,
Okay.
the one that she suggested.
oh, okay.
Okay.
So on the first page it says essential functions. And these appear to be
Supervisor.
supervisory duties.
Which,
Well, you can leave them as, I don't care what you call them,
Yeah.
as long as they're
I
there.
mean, that's essentially what this suggested edit
Okay,
has done, is it has moved these essential functions that we have here
below?
into where we had supervisory duties,
Okay.
that is what they are.
Okay.
And then, so then it placed judicial commissioner duties first, then the supervisory duties. And then it also took out of where we had sets bond amounts by questionnaire, conducts research as needed, and stay current, blah, 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 blah.
Page 2's not on there either.
No.
Is that
On that-
another page 2?
Yeah, that's the other
Right.
confusion.
Yeah, that's
we're
what I'm
missing.
totally. Yeah.
So all the page 2s that
I have the
there's
page
no
2 in
page
red.
Yeah, I don't have a page 2 in red.
Yeah. I don't have a page 2 with the chief judicial commissioner one either.
She just gave that.
Oh, I thought that was part of the director of judicial
That
on.
was-
commissioners, 'cause I didn't have two for that either.
This-
Like, I
this
didn't have a
page
page
two
two
goes with the
anywhere.
one we
Yeah,
approved.
page 2 was for the,
The one we approved. So you don't have this page either?
No.
Oh, well, no wonder everybody doesn't know what I'm
confused. That's
talking
the
Yeah, I got
problem.
from 1 to 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the only
Okay.
genius in the room right now because I'm the only one with the right papers.
That's right. Okay, so the one that she just gave us, that starts off judicial commissioners, this goes with the director judicial commissioner job that we did,
is
right?
that, let me see what you
Okay,
have.
I just wanna make
It
sure.
says essential duties, essential functions.
Yes,
Cause you can
And
see
it's
down
the
at the
list.
bottom, the date, there's one that's was revised 114, and there's one, the
okay.
one that she's suggesting was revised 125.
Okay, that's what
Okay.
I was trying to match. Okay, so I've
Okay,
got this. I
so
don't
what are
have
we
page
gonna
2
do? We're gonna
here.
take the one that we did?
Well, I don't know, we don't have page 2 yet.
Well, I have page 2. You don't have page 2?
No!
Give me page 2 to the one we did. Here's the one we
There's
did.
I
page,
have the page 2 for the one we did.
Okay.
That's
You
what
did
I'm saying.
page
Brianna
2
just
for
gave
the
it to
one.
me.
I'll take that one.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Okay, oh, you know, I don't have a page 2 for this either.
Yeah, they don't either.
I don't have page 2 for
So it
anything.
goes 1, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And the same thing here.
If it's really not changing if we're really not changing,
And no, it's an administrative role.
if we're not changing the responsibilities of the position, then I probably wouldn't recommend changing the job grade.
I think that would be
But I think we are, though,
excellent.
right? Aren't we changing
Well, she's
it?
saying now that if we're not changing administrative role, she was looking at it as this is not a true supervisor role, but we have
It
determined
is.
that it
If
is.
it's, if the responsibilities are being reduced from the current today,
What was the
they're
current?
kind of being increased.
No, actually, they've
Because-
always been the
because the other
same,
one
it's
didn't
just the
write
person we had,
once.
okay, the person we had in here
I thought the other one was
overstepped the
supposed to write
boundaries,
once,
She never did.
but
She
it
was
didn't
supposed to.
change
Right.
what she was
Yeah, but
supposed to
once-
do.
Supposed to.
She just told other people what they could do.
yeah.
But, okay, but in that, even though that's what occurred,
Yeah.
that's not what the job description said
Right.
though, right?
but is it
Yeah.
okay, but I guess
So-
my
so I
question
guess
is,
that's-
did
yeah.
She was also.
did she overstep, what, was her overstepping including what she told Steve and me?
That's what I'm
What
trying to
she-
understand.
No, that's not what she told you. What she,
I don't know.
the overstepping was to get involved in the particular warrants. And that's not in here for her to do, or for anybody to do. The job
agree
is,
with her that
Wow.
role has administrative roles.
No, I mean, in the level of what all that was that overstated when she discussed with us? Should it have been
I'm wondering if it
slightly
was,
lower, or is it,
but I don't know the answer to
I don't
that.
think it was lower. I think
Wasn't privy to that information.
what she stated was what we wanted her to do, but what she did, in addition to that, she got involved in certain warrants and stuff, which was not appropriate.
so if you're gonna require someone to have a bachelor's, so if they have a bachelor's, how much experience do you want them to have? I know you want 10 years if they don't have a bachelor's, but what if they do?
Bachelor's in an appropriate degree, an appropriate view.
Yes,
But you don't want somebody that's green right out of
right, you wouldn't want somebody to walk out of
That's
college,
taken care of during the interview process.
but
Right.
Yeah,
This matters for the grade.
it
matters
does matter
a
for,
lot
so
to
if
the
you want
grade.
them, they need to have some sort of experience and the bachelor's degree,
okay,
so
say
About 5
5 years?
5
Yeah.
years, yeah,
Okay.
bachelor's and 5
Yeah.
years.
The bachelor's
experience.
is 4 years,
Yeah.
give them 5 years
Bachelor's and
experience, that's
5 or
10
10
years.
years.
So bachelor's and 5 or
10
10
years.
years of experience.
In the
Yeah.
field.
So that's helpful to me to kind of
Right,
gauge what
Okay.
I'm trying
We
to
may-
look at.
right.
So probably then, given that you want that level of experience and knowledge,
Right.
then I probably would not necessarily recommend taking the grade then
Revised
Okay,
Okay.
for the
Sheet,
director
Page 2.
okay.
level.
Mhm.
Now, the next question is, what level of responsibility does the deputy director actually have
Okay.
over a normal judicial commissioner? Because
I guess my question with the deputy, this is always one of my questions, is I know that we have a deputy to step in if the director's not there. But what do they do
They assist,
administratively different than the director does. Does that make sense? Because usually in that situation, you know, you like, you've got a director who has one set of things that they're in charge of, and then the assistant director is over another set
not,
of
not
information.
normally. The assistant would be to assist the director in his, or he did. his
Not
duties.
always, though.
From my
Usually
experience,
there's-
the assistant director has typically done the exact same thing and usually more than the director. They're usually more hands-on in the past, that I've dealt with.
Yeah,
So,
Right.
the assistant directors I've worked for,
Yeah.
they've all done the exact same job the director does.
yeah.
Okay.
So they're handling the budget, they're handling
Well, when
scheduling.
when they're directed to,
They're
like,
not.
when the director says, I want you to do this, and do that.
Page
They,
two,
they are supposed to be able to do
Like's just
any and all
special,
things
that's the
that
difference.
the director can do.
Oh, hold on. Let's see here. Okay,
So
so
I
this is
think-
the deputy.
I think the way you have
Okay,
it
hold on.
slotted
So that's
down
over here.
is good.
Okay, I haven't even opened
That's what
it.
my personal opinion.
Okay, okay, so that's this one. Yes, okay.
Okay, so first of all, we have to decide,
I have their version.
now that we have the patients.
That's the deputy.
That's-
There's the red one, and then there's the completed.
Yeah, I have that one. Right here.
All right.
You're welcome.
So,
I love
okay,
that.
well, we already kind of agreed with the director's description here from last time we voted for it based on the changes we made. And that's in the minutes, we voted for it. So in my estimate, that's done. Do you agree with that? Anybody's?
But I think we are needing to change the education and experience.
Well, was that in the, yeah, we need to change that, so we need to make some modifications.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let's get that thing here and I've got other questions.
okay, so, let's say bachelor's degree with 5 years experience, okay?
Or high school diploma and 10 years experience in related field.
Or,
Yeah.
or 10 years experience in related field,
And a high school diploma.
high school diploma.
Well, that's required by
Or
our statute anyway.
That's, yeah, you gotta have high school,
Yeah.
that's by statute.
Okay.
I mean, it can be in the jobs, but
I mean, I would,
we couldn't hire you if you didn't have one.
yeah.
Okay,
Statute at 10 years. of
Let's
experience.
change that.
Alright.
anything else you wanna reorder it, you say? How much,
I mean,
or you wanna put some of these supervisory
question,
duties?
oh, it's about the deputies.
Oh,
I mean, I personally, I just like the organization of this one, but without taking things out.
Okay,
I think the only thing you got taken out wasn't supervises and directs.
now supervisory duties, Mike was saying we ought to move that up. Did you say, Mike?
I would make judicial commissioner duties your number one under essential functions. Like
no, what I was saying is, there's 3 at the bottom
Right, you wanna move those up?
that need to be moved above.
Okay,
into judicial
Right.
commissioner duties, correct?
okay,
Yeah.
and get rid of that supervisory duty title, right? Is that here?
Well, I think didn't we have it where judicial commissioner duties we wanted first, and then
Right.
supervisory duties?
Second, just that
Second.
one paragraph.
Okay, yeah.
And what, all that got changed on, from here to here, other than the supervises and directs, was that all of this on page 1 got moved into underneath the
Supervisory
supervisory duties, which
Okay.
I'd find it,
Okay, that's fine.
including that
Any-
supervises.
what do you
and
think?
directs.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is take everything that is above judicial commissioner duties and move that into supervisory duties. That's part 1.
Okay, get rid of the title essential function.
No, leave that. Okay, so after
Yeah.
the word assigned, all the way to the
Okay, I
word
got it.
heads. So starting at the word supervises all the way down to heads, move that into supervisory duties.
Okay,
That's part 1 here. Part two is from the word sets bond amounts all the way down to put into effect. Move that up into judicial commissioner duties. Then
okay,
move then that just that does it, because then all that's
Okay.
gone, it moves up in document. And then,
After, what you're saying, after put in effect, you're gonna start supervisory duties and put everything on the front page back there, correct?
correct,
Okay.
that'd be part
Okay,
two.
who's, are you taking notes on?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I think that's basically what we did, right? Honestly, I think
That
that's.
is kind of what we had set forth. I think the only really
Yeah.
thing was what Mike was talking
Yeah.
about, moving these three
Up
up into that
Yeah,
position.
so,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Any other comments on that?
And then, so I'm trying, I guess I'm making a motion here. So that one where we move that into supervisory, then take those three items and move them up into judicial commissioner duties. Then change the number 9 under the minimum qualifications to say
Plus
hold a
five.
bachelor's degree and 5 years experience, or have 10 years
And/or.
experience. And/or
Yeah.
5 years experience. No, well,
And/or 10 years in a related field.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, and for the deputy,
Well,
Do the
I'll
same
second your
thing?
motion. Can we go ahead and clean that up now?
okay,
Yeah.
okay, you make a motion?
I'll second your motion.
Okay, any other comments?
Did you get that, Danielle?
I did.
You got everything, do you see what they're talking
Yes.
about on these?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so
Okay,
you're.
that's good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, for the
Thank you.
deputy, why don't we essentially align that with the deputies, okay? And instead of saying they do everything, they assist. Can you redo that for us, please, the deputies?
Yes, sir.
And align it similarly,
Okay, just
Okay.
put that they assist instead of
yeah.
head.
Okay, any motion on that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's done. Okay, now the process of interviewing, there's some questions here.
Yes, I gave you all of the
Thank you.
previous questions that I found that were used. So I gave you all a copy of those, so you
Okay.
can go through them and let me know what questions you
Okay.
may or may not
Well,
wanna
why don't we
ask,
each
or
take
let me
these
know
questions
any
and
other
review 'em?
questions.
Okay, we'll review the questions. Now, do we have an agreement that we want the committee to interview as a whole? Or do you want to pick 3 people to interview? We did, last time we did, the whole committee worked out fine. And what we do, we advertise the position, and when Kiana gets them all done, and she'll root some of them out that are not appropriate, they're not qualified at all. And then we'll meet in the big room here, and we have each candidate come in individually, and we question. And after the first interview, we pick 2, and then we bring back to interview them one more time. And then we recommend 1 to the county commission. That's what we did before. We don't have to do it that way. Any other suggestions or agreements or disagreements?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like the idea of doing the interviews. But if there's a clear candidate after the interviews, I don't see any sense in picking an extra person to interview again.
Wasting some of my time.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
Right.
you know, we can decide at the time.
Yeah,
I mean, we have the capability to do that, but if it turns out we don't
yeah.
need to do that, we don't do
If,
that.
I think
Yeah.
if we have 2
That are really good.
that are, or neither one,
Right.
the problem is, you may have 1, she may have 1, I might have 1.
Well, see, the thing is, we'll
And I
vote
think that's
after
what
the
we
first
ran into
time.
before.
What I'm
They-
saying is, we'll vote after the first time, and the top candidate gets interviewed again for sure if we need to. But if we all vote for the same person, we may not have to do that. And then we'll vote for the second. You'll rate them.
That's what was gonna be my
Maybe
question.
do
Are we
rate
gonna be
choice.
rating off these questions? Like, is there gonna be a 1 through
Don't we
5,
have a
or do we
rubric on
circle?
No, what we
1
do.
if we're unhappy with their answer,
So,
5 if we're.
when-
No, you don't have to do
Number
it.
system.
Where the
No,
rubric
the way
comes
we did
is
last
usually
time
in
is
the
just overall
application,
impression.
rating the applications, and
Oh,
we'll have like
we
a
each
ranking
get
sheet.
to ask a question, and they answer, then we go to the next person, and nobody interrupts it.
I mean, I've been on high
Then at
court
the
But
end of
everybody has their
before.
biases. And
What-
if you do a number system, then you do a cumulative number.
You can
and
do it that
then-
way, yeah.
And then you take the cumulative numbers from everybody, and your highest scores go on to that next interview.
That's a good idea. I've seen that done, where each question has a 1 through 5.
Right.
and at the question, mark one for the best or apply for the best, one for the worst.
Right.
And you do that, and at the end you add up your scores.
That's just my thought. I mean, but.
No, I like that
So I think
idea.
there's a, because we've got a pretty standard process, right? You go through with committees to, I was on a committee to hire the animal control director, and we had 4 or 5 of us that was on the committee. And so we all had everybody's resumes, we had a list of questions, there was a document where you could actually write notes and things. And then we kind of compared after we had everybody just based on the notes that we had. So it was kind of like a rubric, sort of like that. But I mean,
I think
she
the
already kind of has
rubric,
a
and I
process.
forgot about that, comes on the front side
Right,
where they weed out ones that don't qualify.
Right,
off the top.
exactly.
right, yes. But from a hiring perspective, that's the way we did it. Is, I mean, there was a document that you
or-
could actually,
I think the way we did it, if there were 100 people that applied, then you're able to whittle it down by using that rubric to 10
yeah,
at the
Yes.
top.
yeah.
Here's another option. We could always do first round interviews online, and that's where they answer these questions in written form. Those come out to us, we can take our time reviewing them, and then from their answers on this, we can rate those and then determine who we want to interview. Just another option.
I don't know, have we ever done that from the county perspective?
No, but
Tell us
just
that.
because we haven't
Okay.
done it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that
Right.
it's not a viable option.
Yeah,
Where,
Or another way is that you could give them, say, 5 questions, just 5 or 6. And when you pick the ones that you think we're, give them the questions, have them write them out, and then we can get them before the interview.
Because if we're not even looking at names, seeing their faces, that's the best way to hire. Or to get that way there's no biases whatsoever
Yeah.
when it comes into
Yeah.
kind of grading us.
that's true.
Thing is, we have to determine what questions are gonna be appropriate to do that. Because,
But I think resume, I think all that plays into it, don't not just answers on a question.
Yeah,
For me, it does.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna, based on somebody's answer, I wanna see a resume, I wanna see experience, I wanna know more about the person. I don't care about the name, you're right, but
Yeah.
it'd be kinda hard to do that because I guarantee you there's gonna be 4 or 5 and we can figure out pretty easy from
Just
knowing,
based
just
on the resume.
knowing who's applied.
Well, if you send these out to like your top 10 and say, answer these,
Well, I think that's what you would kinda bring to us, would be the top candidates.
well, you all would direct that, and I talked to Commissioner Gentry about it, and I know you all are unique because you are a committee. So typically, when I do a hiring board, then I will, as search committee, I'll bring everybody in. They can look at all the applications and resumes at the same time and kind of do their back and forth banter on who all they want to select to interview. But I don't know if that would be violating, the law if you all got together.
well,
and did
as a
that.
committee, we have open,
Where anybody could come and watch it and,
Yeah, and you don't want that. You don't want to be
but all of
discussing
our interviews are
potential.
open.
no, the interviews are not open.
Yes, they are. If we come together as a committee, they're open.
it's gotta be a
They
way.
weren't open before,
Yeah, they were.
there was nobody doing it.
I'm telling you, they were open
Okay.
because they have to be. I mean, if we're together as a committee,
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
That's why I'm
they
saying
can't
maybe
meet
we
secret.
should pick 3 people,
Unless you call it a workshop. and
that
not
way it
voting.
wouldn't be open.
but it still has to be open to workshops.
That's
Still
true.
open.
Yeah, they're still open, yeah, yeah.
But
That's
but
the
I'm
hard part
saying
about
if we
trying to figure
pick
out
a
how do you do a job
committee,
interview
can't.
with public. I
okay,
mean,
what
that's
if
the
we
hard
pick a
part.
committee
Yeah.
to do
I
the
know.
interview?
if we could pick a committee and it's not
But
a
it's-
judicial
But
committee.
it still
right.
is,
Okay,
it still
well-
is a number of a number of county commissioners together.
Yeah, that's true. Even if there's just 3 of us, it's quorum, so it doesn't matter.
I mean,
Yeah,
and I would
pick
want to
2
be
off
there
this
anyway,
committee.
even if I wasn't on it.
The judge.
Yeah.
Share and listen, so.
yeah, I would too.
I mean,
Okay.
last time they were open, and I know people didn't come in, but they could have,
They could have.
because
Nobody
we
came in.
advertised it,
Yeah,
Okay.
Judges are tired.
I haven't
Well,
hired before, so I didn't know.
I don't know, they do.
This is a question I always had, was how do you do this as a
just
committee?
like when
Yeah.
y'all came together,
Right.
unless it was,
I was the only elected official
There
who
you
was
go.
on the hiring board,
Right.
so it was, it was just an interview.
right.
So
that
it's
can
like
happen.
any other interview.
But
Right,
if we're all
exactly.
doing the interviews,
Yeah, see, and because it's such a different process because
then
of
it's
this
subject to
particular
the sunshine
position.
law.
Right,
okay, excuse
yeah,
me,
I
so I'm
know.
gonna ask HR. On the interview, is it is it a violation of the person that you're interviewing right to have it open?
I don't think it would be a violation. I think what we could do is just let the applicant know up front that their interview is open to the public, and then it's their decision if they want to continue on.
Okay. So the consensus is we're gonna interview as a committee, is that okay? Okay, we'll do that. And do we have, I'm gonna recommend that we advertise the position. Anybody have any complaints about that?
Do you wanna list it on Monday?
Big
That
part,
makes sense. If we're gonna advertise the position, are we set, we're setting up for the job descriptions and changes. Can we put it out on Monday? Does that make
We get the
sense?
changes done by.
Well, that's why I'm asking. I mean, does that make sense to you guys?
When we get it done, I'm good. I don't,
Yeah.
Put it
As
out.
soon as possible.
we
Yeah.
put it out tonight.
yeah, we
got
just
everything done.
advertise it for 10 days. If we
Yeah.
have to, we can extend it. And, once we have applicants, you can weed them out if they're not qualified according to the requirements. And then
I'm looking
we
at it
interviewed
now.
several last time, remember Mike? We interviewed a lot.
We interviewed a lot.
We did.
Yeah.
And,
Where
it
does it
worked
get
out.
advertised?
And the way we interview, we used the questions and we just went around
Town
the
Gazette.
interview team and we asked questions. And I agree with Jeremy there, if you have 1 through 5 on every question and you
Used
mark
to.
it yourself and at the end tally up the score. And at the end of the interview, we can see what the scores are for each person and
I think the last time we did it is each commissioner came with their top 3 picks,
yeah,
and they had them, we
Yeah.
had them 1, 2, and 3.
yeah,
And what ended up happening is we actually, most lined up.
yeah,
Especially when you look at 2 and 3, there
yeah.
were some differences made
Yeah,
to
one
but
and
most-
2 were changed a little
Most
bit.
lined up.
Yeah,
I mean, that's, yeah, it's very similar to the numbers.
so you can do the number
And
system.
that was number 2.
Yep.
And, okay, so we have a consensus on that, so you can advertise for the position.
Do you
On
not
Monday for
advertise-
10 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if we have to
Yeah.
extend it, we'll extend it.
So through the 14th? Because that's 10 business days. So I'm looking at a calendar. So tomorrow's the 31st. So
That's
I
fine.
mean, I guess if you can get it up by tomorrow, that
Should
would
we
be
do it
fine. But if
Monday?
not, yeah. I mean, I figured Monday gave her a day to put everything
And
together.
then after that,
Yeah,
we
so
should
if we list
start
it Monday through the
interviewing,
14th.
probably within a few days after that.
Do we wanna make that in the form of a motion?
I make a motion that we go ahead and list the position on Monday the 3rd and list it through the end of business on Friday, February 14th.
Why don't we advertise it tomorrow?
They've got to have time to finish these changes, correct?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Monday,
why I
3rd.
figured, yeah.
Okay,
I figure I'd give them a day to get tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah,
just-
to change
Just
everything.
advertise it.
Yeah,
If she gets it done tomorrow, then,
yeah. Well, you can do
Put
that
it up,
too.
and
That's
then
fine.
just close it on the 14th. If she doesn't, then.
yeah,
That works.
yeah.
No
All right,
later
I will
than-
change my
No later
motion.
than the 3rd, yeah. No,
All right. That we list the position, for people, or advertise the position starting as soon as possible and closing it on close of business Friday, February 14th.
Second.
I'll second that.
I think, yeah. I think Jeremy already seconded it.
Oh, did
Got you
okay.
both.
No, no, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. Any comments, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All against?
can we maybe look at a potential date?
The interview?
I know we only have 2 minutes, but
Yeah.
The interview? I'm leaving town on the 21st, so you can interview without me, it's okay.
well,
Okay, what do you
I wouldn't
think?
want to do that.
Yeah.
Week after, so how about 20th, 19th, 20th?
How long would it take
Can we go,
get them all together?
She's
It's
gonna
really gonna
interview.
depend on how
That's
many
okay.
come in. I think
You
you
don't need to.
asked where all it'll be
Yeah, right.
advertised, so with our new applicant tracking system, it goes out everywhere.
Yeah, like a
LinkedIn,
springboard.
ZipRecruiter, and
Oh,
it'll be
yeah.
posted on the county
That'll be a-
website as
I'll
well.
tell you what, we can delay the
So
advertisement.
it really just
to do it
depends on
at
how
once.
many
There's no big hurry to
applications
do it,
come in.
Okay.
You know,
Let's get done.
Yeah.
Let's
okay.
get done. We're in limbo.
Well, 14th, we can probably interview,
We could interview the 19th and 20th.
yeah, we do.
Well, she's gonna have to interview and
Oh.
wheedle down, right?
Yes.
Well, she'll have the information.
What do you
Or
think?
she just hands, it's, what she just said was, it depends on how many come in.
Yeah.
Right.
But, and we would have to know who is she,
Right.
she'd have to set up the interviews, and that would be a whole, from the 14th. I mean,
Yeah.
You typically want to give the interviewee at least 3 to 4 business days notice before you
When are
actually
you coming back in
expect them
town,
to come
John?
in for an interview.
Yeah.
I'm coming back in March 6th, actually.
And I leave the
Oh, so
7th.
you-
Yeah.
Well, that's
I
what I'm
actually
saying,
leave the
though.
7th too.
Yeah.
So
Spring
actually
break,
the 8th.
everybody's
Yeah.
gonna be on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
then let's look at the 19th and 20th. They all come in the 14th.
yeah, they come in the
I don't
14th.
know, I don't disagree that we need to give.
They're gonna be in long before the 14th.
Yeah, they'll be
People that
in.
truly want.
They'll be in.
That's true.
Yeah, they'll be in by the sooner than that. And
Can you list in the listing that interviews will be conducted on February 19th and 20th?
I can.
That way it's up front
There you
and
go.
it's out there.
That's,
Yeah. And
don't
that
have to give
way.
a time or anything, but
No, but these are the 2 dates, and then, you know,
I
once
like
you actually get everything, then you can go ahead and
Yeah.
schedule everybody and say,
Line it
okay,
up
here
in
are my
advance.
slots, this is what I
I like
got.
And you leave the 21st, is that
I
right?
think the 21st, yeah.
Okay, well, that gets in here.
Yeah,
So we can do that. That'd be good.
I like it.
All right.
Maybe we can get it
Yeah.
put together.
do I need to make a motion
And
to
we're only
add
gonna
that,
be
or
interviewing,
no?
what, 3?
No, I
Okay.
think
Top three.
that's all. It's
We're only
right.
interviewing top 3.
It's okay.
No, it'll be
we'll
anybody,
interview-
yeah,
We'll interview,
however many we need
And once the interview's
Anybody that's
done,
qualified.
well,
yeah,
She'll
then
give her the ones.
then we'll make a
Right.
nomination. We'll recommend to the commission the person for the job.
yeah.
Okay? Any other business? We gotta get out of here. Adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
All right.
Thank you.